They gave me 72 hours to kill my three-legged dog or lose my ranch. Biggest mistake of their lives. The HOA president stood on my property, waving legal papers at Brutus like he was some kind of monster, instead of a disabled rescue dog sleeping peacefully on the porch. "This creature threatens our entire community," she screamed, voice cracking with desperation I didn't yet understand. Behind her, a black SUV idled with windows too dark to see inside. I recognized that look, the same terror I'd seen in 2017 when I destroyed Willowbrook HOA, but this felt different, more dangerous. Something was hunting us all, and my dog was just the beginning. Where are you watching from? Comment below. I need to know I'm not alone in this HOA nightmare. My name's Nathan Brooks, and for the past 2 years I've been living my dream on this 15-acre ranch outside Houston. After winning a landmark case against Willowbrook HOA back in 2017, I'd had enough of legal drama. Now I just grew vegetables, raised chickens, and avoided anything involving lawsuits or neighborhood politics. 6 months ago, I'd rescued Brutus from a shelter after his previous owner died in what they called a car accident. The poor dog had lost his back leg in the crash, but it hadn't dampened his spirit one bit. I'd even made him a custom wooden prosthetic leg that clicked and clacked when he walked, though he mostly used it as a chew toy. Life was simple, predictable, and exactly how I wanted it after years of courtroom battles and federal investigations that I tried very hard not to think about. "I'm Donna Fitzgerald, president of the Timber Creek Homeowners Association," she announced, like she expected me to salute or something. "I've been in office for 2 months now, and I'm here about your animal." She said animal the way most people say cockroach. Brutus, apparently sensing he was being discussed, decided this was the perfect moment to start licking his own foot. "His name is Brutus," I said, trying to keep the amusement out of my voice, "and he's completely harmless. The kids in the neighborhood love him." Donna's face scrunched up like she'd bitten into a lemon. "That's precisely the problem, Mr. Brooks. This dog presents a clear and present danger to our community standards." I couldn't help myself. I pulled out my measuring tape and started checking the grass height. 7.5 inches. HOA regulation says 8 inches maximum. I'm good. Her phone rang, and I saw the screen light up with just the letter R before she snatched it up, her hand trembling slightly. "Not now," she hissed into the phone, then hung up immediately. When she turned back to me, something had shifted in her expression. The suburban soccer mom facade cracked for just a second, revealing something else underneath. Fear, desperation, but then it was gone, replaced by cold determination. "Your grass height isn't the issue here," she said, gripping her purse handle so tight her knuckles went white. "That dog is aggressive, unpredictable, and frankly incomplete. It violates our community standards for pet integrity." I nearly choked on my coffee. Pet integrity? He's missing a leg, not his soul. Brutus chose that moment to try approaching Donna, his wooden leg clicking cheerfully on the driveway. She jumped back 3 full steps like he was a velociraptor. "It's missing a limb. That's a violation of our standards for whole and complete pets." Donna was actually Googling aggressive dog breeds on her phone right in front of me. "And what about Mrs. Johnson's 30-pound cat?" I asked, remembering the massive tabby that terrorized the local bird population. That's different. We're focused on dogs right now." She was sweating, despite the morning coolness, and I noticed a drone flying overhead, circling slowly. My old training kicked in automatically. Exit routes mapped, potential weapons cataloged, threat assessment running in the background like forgotten software suddenly booting up. The SUV had government-style tinted windows, but the plates were too new, too clean. Private security, definitely. I pretended to adjust Brutus's collar while memorizing the partial plate number visible through the morning glare. 5 years of growing tomatoes and raising chickens hadn't erased 15 years of field training, apparently. My old instincts kicked in, surveillance patterns, escape routes, threat assessment, before I forced myself to relax. That life was behind me. This was just suburban drama, nothing more. "Look, Mrs. Fitzgerald, Brutus here is the gentlest dog in Texas. He's scared of butterflies, for crying out loud." As if to prove my point, Brutus had given up on reaching Donna and was now trying to catch his own tail, spinning in awkward circles with his 3 legs. "I'll be reviewing all animal regulations for Timber Creek," Donna said, backing toward her car like Brutus might suddenly charge. "This community needs perfect order." She said perfect with an intensity that made my skin crawl. As she climbed into her Lexus, she turned back with a smile that never reached her eyes. "You have a lovely ranch here, Mr. Brooks. It would be a shame if you had to leave it." When her car disappeared down the road, I noticed the black SUV that had been parked down the street was gone too. I hadn't even realized it was there until it wasn't. Another leftover instinct from my previous life. "What did you do to make her hate you so much?" I asked Brutus, who responded by flopping down for a nap, his wooden leg making a soft thunk on the ground. My phone buzzed with an unknown number. The text message made my blood run cold. It was a photo of Brutus sleeping, taken from inside my house. The timestamp showed it was from last night. Another message followed immediately. "You have 72 hours, or the dog isn't the only thing you'll lose." I spun around quickly, my hand instinctively reaching for a weapon I no longer carried. The back door was slightly ajar, swaying gently in the morning breeze. I knew I'd locked it last night. I always locked it. Brutus let out a low growl, the first time I'd heard him make that sound in 6 months. The wooden leg clicked against the porch as he stood up, hackles raised, staring at something in the tree line I couldn't see. 72 hours remaining. Monday morning, 7 o'clock sharp, and someone was pounding on my door like they were trying to break it down. "Urgent legal notice! Anybody home?" the delivery guy shouted. I opened the door to find a sweating teenager holding a red envelope like it might explode. "Nathan Brooks?" When I nodded, he practically threw it at me and ran back to his truck. The envelope felt heavier than paper should, and when I opened it, I understood why. Along with the official HOA notice declaring Brutus a Class A dangerous animal, there was a USB drive labeled Evidence of the Brutus Threat, a 67-slide presentation. I had to laugh at the absurdity of it. These people had actually made a PowerPoint about my three-legged dog? The letter was even more ridiculous than the USB. According to the Timber Creek HOA, I had 72 hours to relocate the aforementioned dangerous animal or face fines of $500 per day, compounding daily. They'd classified Brutus under their newly created extreme danger to community wellness category, which I was pretty sure didn't exist last week. I plugged in the USB on my laptop, morbidly curious about what constituted a 67-slide presentation about a dog who was currently trying to catch dust particles in a sunbeam. Slide 23 actually compared Brutus to Godzilla, complete with a size comparison chart. "Similar destruction potential," the bullet point read. "Both have unusual gaits." I screenshot that one. It was too insane not to save. Slide 38 made me actually laugh out loud. Mathematical proof of Brutus's danger level, a polymolecular equation. She'd created a fake formula where BSD, Brutus security danger, equaled legs multiplied by barking frequency divided by tail wag ratio. The conclusion stated that three-legged dogs were mathematically 33% more suspicious than four-legged ones. Slide 50 compared his tail-wagging patterns to known terrorist communication codes with a completely serious bar graph. Luna Rodriguez, my neighbor and a nurse at the local hospital, showed up at my door with her 8-year-old daughter Emma just as I was contemplating whether to laugh or scream at slide 42. Brutus stared at security cameras for more than 4.7 seconds, clear sign of aggressive reconnaissance behavior. "Is Donna out of her mind?" Luna asked, reading over my shoulder. Emma had already run to Brutus, who was wagging his entire back end in greeting. "Don't let them take Brutus away," Emma cried, hugging the dog tight. "He saved me from falling in the pond last month." That was true. Brutus had grabbed Emma's shirt when she'd slipped on the muddy bank, holding her until Luna could pull her up. "Some dangerous animal. This is insane," Luna muttered, then looked at me seriously. "Nathan, you know Donna's been making everyone's life hell since she became president. 15 new rules in 2 months. Johnson can't even put up his American flag anymore." I decided to confront this head on. At 2 in the afternoon, I drove to the HOA office, a converted house that Donna had transformed into what looked like a surveillance command center. The living room had been turned into her office, complete with 12 monitors showing camera feeds from around the neighborhood. She sat behind a massive desk, like a Bond villain, fingers steepled. "Mr. Brooks, welcome to my domain," she said, and I swear she'd practiced that line in a mirror. "Have a seat. Would you like to see the full presentation? I've actually updated it to 87 slides since this morning." 87? You added 20 slides in 1 day? I asked, genuinely amazed at the dedication to insanity. "I work efficiently when properly motivated," she replied, already pulling up the PowerPoint on a massive screen behind her. "Look, Donna, can we talk about this reasonably? Brutus is harmless. He's missing a leg, for God's sake." I tried to keep my voice calm, but watching her click through slides comparing my dog to various historical disasters was testing my patience. Slide 55 was titled Brutus versus History's Most Vicious Beasts and included a comparison to a T-Rex. The conclusion? Brutus was more dangerous because he was still alive and present in our community. Through the window, I could see the black SUV from this morning parked across the street. A man in a white suit stood beside it, smoking and watching the building. Donna followed my gaze, and her confident facade cracked slightly. 72 hours, Mr. Brooks, not a minute more, please, she said. And that last word came out like a plea rather than a command. She quickly scribbled something on a notepad, then scratched it out violently. I could just make out the words, "Get out," before she covered it with her hand. The law is the law, Donna continued, her voice back to its official tone. Zero tolerance, no exceptions. Timber Creek must maintain its standards. But her eyes kept flicking to the window, to the man in white, and I noticed she'd started that hand tremor again. Donna, is everything all right? I asked, genuinely concerned now. For a moment, her mask slipped completely. Everything's perfect, she said, but her voice cracked on perfect. Just follow the rules, Nathan. It's easier for everyone if you just follow the rules. She stood abruptly, signaling our meeting was over. I've emailed you the full presentation, all 120 slides. I kept working on it. Please review slides 60 through 67 especially. They outline the consequences of non-compliance. 48 hours remaining. Back home, I hugged Brutus tight, feeling his steady heartbeat against my chest. Don't worry, boy. We beat an HOA in 2017. We can do it again. My phone rang. Unknown number. I answered to hear heavy breathing. Then a man's voice. Smooth as silk and twice as dangerous. You should really consider relocating, Mr. Brooks. Timber Creek isn't healthy for dogs. The line went dead. Brutus let out another low growl, the second time today. In 6 months, I'd never heard him growl until this morning, and now, twice in one day. He only did that when he sensed real danger, not the suburban drama kind. I opened my laptop to research Donna Fitzgerald and Timber Creek HOA. The first result made my coffee mug slip from my hand and shatter on the floor. A newspaper article from 2019. Bitter divorce battle, Fitzgerald vs. Fitzgerald turns ugly. The photo showed Donna crying outside a courthouse, and next to her, the man in the white suit from today. The caption read, Raymond Fitzgerald continues to support ex-wife's HOA ambitions despite contentious divorce. Support? That didn't look like support to me. That looked like control. 36 hours remaining. The email blast hit my inbox at 6 in the morning. Emergency HOA meeting, 7 p.m. tonight. Mandatory attendance. Topic, permanent solution to dangerous animals. Issue. I noticed they'd already escalated from discussion to permanent solution, which didn't bode well for Brutus, or any other pet in the neighborhood. Luna texted me immediately, "Did you see this BS? They can't make a meeting mandatory." But according to the HOA bylaws I'd frantically researched, they actually could. Failure to attend would result in automatic acceptance of any measures passed. Donna had thought of everything, or more likely, someone had thought of it for her. By 7 p.m., the community center was packed with 75 people, a record attendance that Donna had probably orchestrated through fear and threats. She'd set up a projector screen that belonged in a movie theater, not a neighborhood meeting. Welcome everyone to the Brutus Threat and 87-slide journey, she announced, clicking to the title slide which featured a dramatically photoshopped image of Brutus with glowing red eyes. 87? This morning you said 67, I called out from my seat. I expanded it. I work very efficiently when properly motivated, she replied, that word motivated carrying weight I was starting to understand. The presentation was absolutely insane. She'd created graphs, charts, and even a risk assessment matrix. Slide 42 compared Brutus to various movie monsters, while slide 56 was titled Statistical Analysis of Three-Legged Dog Aggression with completely made-up statistics. The community response was split right down the middle. Luna stood up first, her nurse's training giving her authority when she spoke. This is ridiculous. Brutus saved my daughter from drowning last month. He's the gentlest dog I've ever met. Old man Johnson, who'd lived in the neighborhood for 40 years, struggled to his feet. I've been here 4 decades, and the only dog that ever bit me was a Chihuahua named Princess. This dog you're talking about lets my grandson ride him like a horse. Mrs. Jane from the restaurant stood up shakily, her broken English carrying more weight than perfect grammar ever could. This dog, he saved my grandfather. Heart attack last month. Brutus bark and bark until neighbors come help. A teenager I didn't recognize added, he walks my autistic brother home from the bus stop every single day. Never misses, rain or shine, even with 3 legs. The support was growing, but I could see Donna's planted voters getting restless, checking phones for instructions from someone. Emma's friend, Tommy, shouted from the back, "Brutus is the best! He gives the best rides, even with 3 legs." But for every supporter, there was someone nodding along with Donna's presentation, especially when she showed carefully edited security footage of Brutus aggressively approaching mailboxes and suspiciously sniffing garden gnomes. The woman with the 30-pound cat raised her hand. "What about cats over 25 pounds? Are you going to ban my Mr. Whiskers?" Donna's eye twitched. "That's a different issue. Let's maintain focus, people." At 7:45, the meeting's entire dynamic shifted. The doors opened and Raymond Fitzgerald walked in with 2 men who looked like they bench-pressed cars for fun. He moved like a predator, all smooth confidence and barely contained violence, taking a seat in the back row where he could watch everyone. Donna's hands shook so badly she dropped the presentation remote 3 times in 30 seconds. Her carefully styled hair was starting to stick to her forehead with sweat. "Donna, sweetheart," Raymond called out, his voice carrying despite speaking softly. "Are you certain this is all about safety?" The way he said safety made it sound like a threat. Donna's reaction was immediate and visceral. "You have no right to be here. I'm the president. This is my meeting." But her voice cracked, and everyone could hear the fear underneath the anger. She rushed through the rest of the presentation, skipping slides and stumbling over words. When she finally called for the vote, 10 people were still raising their hands to speak. "All in favor of the Timber Creek Pet Safety Act banning all dogs over 25 pounds. Hands went up, and I noticed something odd. 5 people I'd never seen before all raised their hands in perfect unison, like they'd practiced. I quickly checked the attendance sheet Luna had grabbed. Those 5 names didn't exist in our HOA directory. "Motion passes 38 to 37, Donna announced, her voice hollow. "The ban takes effect in 30 days. I stood up immediately. "I demand a recount. Those 5 people aren't even residents." But Donna was already packing up her laptop. "Motion passed. Meeting adjourned. No further discussion." The room erupted in chaos, but Raymond was already moving. He glided through the crowd like smoke, stopping just long enough to slip a folded paper into my pocket. "She's trying to save you, you fool. Read it." His breath smelled like expensive whiskey and danger. Then Madison's voice cut through the noise. Young, scared, but determined. "Mr. Brooks," I turned to see a young woman, maybe 21 but trying to look younger, with red-rimmed eyes and a bruise poorly concealed with makeup on her cheek. "I'm Madison Fitzgerald. I need to talk to you. About Brutus." She glanced at her father, who was watching us with the intensity of a hawk. "Not here, too many eyes, midnight, the old park. Come alone." She grabbed my hand, pressing something small and metal into it. "And bring this, you'll need it." Then she was gone, swallowed by the crowd before I could respond. In my hand was a small key with a number engraved on it, 473. Raymond stood up slowly, that predator smile never leaving his face. 48 hours left, Brooks. Tick-tock. He walked out with his bodyguards, but not before making eye contact with Donna. She flinched like he'd hit her. As people filed out arguing and upset, I unfolded the paper Raymond had given me. It was a newspaper clipping from 2019. FBI agent goes missing. Dog found at scene. The photo showed Jimmy Torino, smiling and holding a young Rottweiler mix. The dog had all 4 legs and a distinctive white patch on its chest, the same patch Brutus had. My blood went cold. Brutus wasn't just any rescue dog. He was evidence in a federal case. 24 hours remaining. Midnight at the old park, and I was starting to piece together why everyone was so interested in my 3-legged dog. Madison had slipped in through the back entrance, constantly checking over her shoulder. Blood was still seeping through a bandage on her cheek, and her hands shook as she spoke. "Mom's not the villain here. She's trying to protect you from my father. He's the one who wants Brutus, and he'll kill to get him." She spoke in rapid bursts like she was afraid of being caught. "Uncle Jimmy, the one who owned Brutus, he wasn't just Dad's friend. He was FBI, undercover in Dad's organization. Dad found out, killed him, but couldn't find the evidence Jimmy had collected. Then he saw Brutus on the HOA cameras. The dog he thought died with Jimmy." "Your father killed a federal agent?" I kept my voice steady, but my mind was racing. Madison nodded, tears streaming. 3 years ago, made it look like a car accident. Brutus was thrown from the car, leg crushed. They found him 3 days later, barely alive. Dad assumed the evidence died with Jimmy, but then he saw your adoption papers online. The shelter posts everything. He recognized the white chest patch immediately. I thought about Brutus's wooden leg, the one I'd crafted myself after the vet said a proper prosthetic would cost thousands. Jimmy was paranoid but brilliant, Madison continued. He knew Dad was getting suspicious, so he hid a microchip with all the financial records, enough to bring down Dad's entire money laundering operation. Dad's torn apart 3 states looking for it. Brutus is the last loose end. How do you know all this? I asked, though I was already dreading the answer. I have 7 phones, Madison explained, pulling them out like a street magician revealing cards. Each one records different quality, uploads to different clouds. Dad thinks I'm just social media obsessed. The FBI gave me apps that look like Instagram but actually transmit everything live to secure servers. Gen Z problems require Gen Z solutions, right? Even my ring light is actually a 360 camera. Dad never suspected his vapid influencer daughter was documenting his crimes in 4K resolution. Madison pulled out her phone, showing me an app I didn't recognize, because I've been recording everything for the FBI for the past year. This earpiece? It's not for music, it's for my handler. But we need that chip to make the financial charges stick. She was 21, she admitted, not 18. The FBI had recruited her after she'd come to them with evidence of her father's crime. 3 years of watching him destroy people. 3 years of pretending to be Daddy's little girl while he used me to control Mom. The revelation hit me like a punch. Your mom's been protecting the neighborhood this whole time? Madison laughed bitterly. 3 HOAs in 5 years. Each time Dad had someone he wanted gone, Mom would make their life hell until they left, and Dad's problems disappeared without violence. Until you. You're ex-FBI, aren't you? Dad's contacts figured it out. That's why he's escalating. I called the shelter at 1 in the morning, claiming to be doing a follow-up survey. The night worker, probably bored and definitely chatty, confirmed everything. Oh yeah, that Torino case, sad story. Guy died in a crash out on Route 12. Dog was found 3 days later by hikers, legs so mangled the vet had to amputate. Sweetest thing though, kept trying to go back to the car like he was guarding something. I looked at Brutus's wooden leg, the one he'd occasionally chew on but never destroy, the one that sometimes came loose and needed adjusting. Holy shit, I whispered. The chips in the prosthetic. Madison nodded quickly. Dad will figure it out eventually. Mom's been buying time, making the HOA thing as ridiculous as possible, hoping you'd just leave, but you're stubborn. She pulled up another app on her phone. Dad's planning something big. Mom accidentally sent an email to the all-staff list instead of just him. Look at this. The email was heartbreaking. I can't do this anymore. She's my daughter. You already took Jimmy, not Nathan too. Please, Raymond. I'll do anything else. Don't make me watch another innocent person die. There was an attachment, a photo of Madison with bruises on her wrists. He's been getting physical, using me to control her. She doesn't know I'm FBI, thinks she's protecting me by playing along. 18 hours remaining, my phone rang, Luna sobbing hysterically. Emma, she fell down the stairs, someone pushed her. I saw them running. In the background, I could hear Emma crying and sirens approaching. We're going to the hospital. Nathan, they left a note. It says, next is the dog, then you, 15 hours left. Madison grabbed my arm. This is escalating too fast. Dad's losing patience. We need to move. I looked at Brutus, sleeping peacefully despite the chaos around him, his wooden leg detached and lying beside him like always. Enough running. Time to end this. I carefully picked up the prosthetic leg, feeling along its length until I found a tiny seam I'd never noticed before. Inside, barely visible, was a small waterproof container, the microchip that had cost Jimmy Torino his life. We need to get this to your handler, I said, but Madison was already shaking her head. Dad owns half the local FBI. We don't know who to trust. That's why I've been waiting, gathering evidence on the dirty agents too. She showed me her phone again. Hundreds of hours of recordings, photos, documents, 3 years of work. But without the financial records on that chip, it's all circumstantial. A text lit up my phone from an unknown number. Brooks, this is your old handler. Heard you found some trouble. 24 hours until we can get clean agents there. Try not to die. Even in witness protection, some connections never fully severed, but 24 hours was too long. Raymond wouldn't wait that long. 15 hours remaining. 4 in the morning, and I was pounding on Donna's door hard enough to wake the dead. She opened it, looking like she'd aged 10 years in 10 hours. Mascara streaked down her face in black rivers. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, she kept repeating, collapsing against the door frame. I tried to warn you. The PowerPoint, the slides about consequences. I highlighted letters to spell help. Did you see? Did anyone see? She was breaking apart in real time. The perfect HOA president facade crumbling like wet cardboard. He has cameras in my house, tracking on my car. If I don't do exactly what he says, Madison dies. Do you understand? My daughter died. I know everything, Donna. Raymond, Jimmy, the microchip. Madison told me. The look of terror that crossed her face was heartbreaking. Madison? No, she can't be involved. She's just a child. I helped her to the couch, noticing the empty bottle of anxiety medication on the coffee table. She's been an FBI informant for a year now. Your daughter's been protecting you while you thought you were protecting her. Donna sobbed harder, her whole body shaking. 3 years of this. 3 years of destroying innocent people's lives because he holds her over my head. I used to teach high school drama. Did you know that? I love teaching kids to express themselves. Now I use those skills to terrorize neighbors. The irony wasn't lost on me. A drama teacher, forced to play the villain in her ex-husband's twisted production. We're going to end this, I said firmly, but not the way Raymond expects. He wants a trial? We'll give him one. A real one, with Judge Coleman. Donna's eyes widened. Patricia Coleman? She hates Raymond. He threatened to kill her during our divorce proceedings. She had to get a restraining order. That was exactly what I was counting on. Raymond's bought half the judges in Texas, but not Coleman. She's clean, tough, and has a personal stake in seeing him burn. We spent the next hour planning, but really the plan was simple. Give Raymond exactly what he wanted. A trial, but on our terms. Madison appeared at 5:30 in the morning like a ghost. Dad's hired the Briggs law firm. They're setting up a fake trial with Judge Robbins at 8 a.m. Robbins is dirty. Dad's been paying him for years. 10 hours remaining. Luna showed up at 6 with Emma, whose arm was in a sling but whose spirit wasn't broken. I want to testify, Emma announced with the determination only an 8-year-old could muster. I'll tell everyone how Brutus saved me, twice. Luna looked exhausted but fierce. They pushed my baby down the stairs. I'm done being afraid, looking at them. A injured child, a terrified mother, a woman forced to play villain, and a young woman who'd spent years gathering evidence against her own father. I felt the old fire reignite. I found myself in the closet, checking the emergency go bag I'd sworn I'd never need again. Cash and small bills, still good. Untraceable phones, probably dead batteries. The fake IDs were definitely expired but might fool someone in a hurry. My hands moved on autopilot, muscle memory from another lifetime. Field strip a Glock in the dark? Check. Every room's exit mapped? Check. Even pulled out the old Kevlar vest, dusty but functional. Brutus watched me with those knowing brown eyes. The one that had made me a good agent, then a better lawyer. The one I'd tried to extinguish with vegetable gardens and chicken coops. 6 hours remaining. Raymond appeared at Donna's house like a bad penny. 10 men surrounding the property. Even at 6 in the morning, his white suit was immaculate, red carnation perfectly placed. Donna shrank back as he entered without invitation. Touching little gathering, he drawled, that dangerous smile playing on his lips. But the games are over. 6 hours until court. Nathan loses, gives me the dog, and everyone walks away breathing. He pulled out a gun, making a show of cleaning it. Or we can skip the theatrics. Your choice. Madison had been live streaming the entire thing to her 50,000 followers. Turned out her cover as a college influencer had real benefits. Smile, Dad. The internet's watching. Raymond's face went pale, then red. He put the gun away with exaggerated care. You clever little bitch, just like your mother. But he was rattled. Good. 6 hours, he repeated, regaining his composure. Don't be late. Oh, and Nathan, that old FBI phone of yours might ring soon. Some of my employees want to chat about your history. He left with his entourage, but not before whispering something to Donna that made her stumble. Madison caught her mother, both of them trembling. He said he's going to burn it all down if we don't comply, starting with the houses. As if on cue, my phone buzzed. A video message showed gas cans placed around 5 houses in the neighborhood, including mine and Luna's. Insurance, Raymond's voice narrated over the footage. In case anyone gets clever. Through the window I could see smoke rising in the distance. Luna gasped. That's my house. We ran outside to see orange flames licking the sky several blocks away. Emma started crying, clinging to her mother. They said your house is next, Mr. Brooks. Madison's phone pinged with an FBI alert. Team 5 minutes out, stall. But 5 minutes felt like 5 years when you could see your neighbor's life burning. I noticed Brutus had walked over to his wooden leg, nosing it insistently. When I picked it up, the hidden compartment had popped open. The microchip fell onto the floor, tiny and innocent looking for something that had caused so much death and pain. He knows, I said quietly. Somehow, Brutus knows it's time. Maybe Jimmy had trained him, or maybe dogs just knew things we didn't. Either way, my three-legged guardian was ready for the final act. Hour 0, beyond question. The courtroom was packed beyond capacity, with Madison's live stream drawing massive attention to our small Texas town. Over 100,000 viewers were watching what they thought would be a simple HOA dispute, not knowing they were about to witness the takedown of a major crime syndicate. Judge Robbins sat at the bench looking like he'd rather be anywhere else, probably wondering how a dog case had turned into a media circus. The Briggs law firm had sent their best shark, a man who looked like he ate smaller lawyers for breakfast. They'd prepared a 147-page document outlining why Brutus was a national security threat, which would have been hilarious if the stakes weren't so high. Your Honor, Briggs began with theatrical flair, we present overwhelming evidence that this animal poses a clear and present danger to our community. We have 120 slides. Actually, Donna interrupted from the witness stand, it's 140 slides now. I updated it this morning. Even facing potential death, she couldn't help being thorough with her PowerPoint. It was almost endearing. Brutus, true to form, had fallen asleep under the defendant's table within minutes of the trial starting, his wooden leg detached and lying beside him like an abandoned toy. The bailiff kept glancing at him nervously, as if expecting the supposedly dangerous dog to suddenly spring into action. Donna's performance on the stand was Oscar-worthy. She read her prepared statement about the terrorist dog Brutus with just enough over-the-top dramatics that anyone paying attention would realize something was off, but the real brilliance was in her hands. While speaking, she was tapping out Morse code on the podium. STALL, FBI, COMING. Briggs was too busy grandstanding to notice, but I caught every letter. This dangerous animal has terrorized our community for 6 months, Donna continued, her voice cracking. Just last week he was seen aggressively napping in the sun for 4 consecutive hours. Raymond shifted in his seat at that, his eyes narrowing. She was going off script, adding ridiculous details that made the whole thing seem like a farce. I stood for my own defense, channeling every courtroom trick I'd learned in my previous life. Your Honor, I'd like to review each of these 140 slides in detail. Due process demands it. Robbins looked like he wanted to strangle me. That's not necessary. Actually, it is, I countered. Precedent clearly states that all evidence must be thoroughly examined. Unless you'd like this overturned on appeal, the judge had no choice but to agree, and I began the world's slowest PowerPoint presentation. Slide 67 was particularly amusing. Brutus and the Illuminati. Possible connections? With a badly photoshopped image of Brutus wearing a tinfoil hat. Even some of Raymond's men were trying not to laugh. By 10:30 a.m., I'd dragged out 45 minutes of stalling when the courtroom doors exploded open. FBI! Nobody move! 30 agents in full tactical gear flooded in, weapons drawn. The audience screamed, some hitting the floor, others trying to film everything. Raymond tried to bolt for the back exit but was tackled by an agent who looked like she'd been waiting years for this moment. Judge Robbins stood up, shouting about judicial immunity until an agent slapped cuffs on him too. Your immunity was revoked the second you took Raymond Fitzgerald's money, she informed him cheerfully. The chaos was absolute, lawyers diving under tables, Raymond's men being arrested one by one, Donna still on the witness stand looking shell-shocked. Then came the moment that made the 100,000 viewers gasp in unison. Madison walked in wearing an FBI vest, looking every inch the federal agent she'd secretly been. Special Agent Madison Fitzgerald, she announced clearly. I've been undercover for the past year gathering evidence on my father's criminal organization. She pulled out a USB drive from her pocket. 3 years of recordings, every conversation, every threat, every crime. Raymond's face went from pale to purple. You lying little bitch, my own daughter. He struggled against the agents holding him. I gave you everything. Madison's voice was steady, but tears rolled down her cheeks. You gave me bruises and nightmares. You killed Uncle Jimmy. You turned Mom into a puppet. The only thing you ever gave me was a reason to become a cop. The FBI's veterinary specialist approached Brutus, who was still somehow sleeping through the chaos. She pulled out a special scanner, running it over his body, with no result. Then she picked up the wooden leg I'd placed on the evidence table. The scanner beeped immediately. Found it, she announced. The microchip's in the prosthetic. Clever hiding spot. I couldn't help but smile. Jimmy was paranoid about water damage. The leg was the only part guaranteed to stay dry and intact. The specialist carefully extracted the chip, no bigger than a grain of rice. 50 gigabytes of financial data, she confirmed after plugging it into her laptop. Account numbers, transactions, names. This is enough to bring down the entire Fitzgerald network and about half the corrupt officials in Texas. Donna had fallen to her knees, sobbing as the reality hit her. Madison rushed to her mother, both of them crying now. "I'm sorry I didn't tell you," Madison whispered. "I needed you to believe it was real or Dad would have known. My brave girl," Donna choked out. "My brave, brilliant girl." Even some of the FBI agents were getting misty-eyed. Raymond wasn't done yet. As they dragged him past our table, he leaned in close. "This isn't over, Brooks. I've got people everywhere. You'll be looking over your shoulder forever." The agent yanked him away before I could respond, but his threats felt hollow now. Evil men always think they're invincible, right until the handcuffs click. Judge Coleman arrived as the feds were cleaning up, having been briefed on the situation. She looked around the chaos of her colleague's courtroom with satisfaction. "All of Robin's rulings are hereby voided," she announced. "As for the matter of Brutus the dog versus Timber Creek HOA, I find in favor of the defendant, case dismissed with extreme prejudice." She looked at Donna with surprising kindness. "Mrs. Fitzgerald, what you did took incredible courage. The court recognizes you as a victim, not a perpetrator." Then she turned to me with a wry smile. "Mr. Brooks, or should I say Agent Brooks?" "Former agent," I corrected. "I'm just a farmer who likes dogs." Brutus chose that moment to finally wake up, yawning and stretching like he'd just had the best nap of his life. The entire courtroom, FBI agents, lawyers, and livestream viewers burst into laughter. The most dangerous dog in Texas had slept through his own trial, and the complete destruction of a criminal empire. 3 months later, Timber Creek was a different place entirely. Luna Rodriguez had been elected HOA president by a landslide, her first act being to repeal every single one of Donna's ridiculous rules. In their place, she'd instituted the Brutus laws, a set of common-sense regulations that actually protected pets instead of persecuting them. The community even voted to install a statue of Brutus in the park, captured in his favorite pose, sound asleep, 3 legs sprawled out, wooden prosthetic beside him. The plaque read, "The dog who slept through justice, Brutus, 2020, unto forever." I'd argued against the statue, but Emma had made such a compelling presentation, complete with PowerPoint, because apparently that was genetic in this neighborhood, that I couldn't say no. Donna's journey had been the most remarkable. After testifying against Raymond and his network, she'd entered witness protection briefly but emerged with a new purpose. She'd written a book about her experience, PowerPoint to Freedom, How I Survived a Sociopathic Ex, with all proceeds going to domestic violence shelters. The book featured actual slides from her infamous presentations, including Brutus versus Godzilla, which had become an internet meme. She still lived in Timber Creek, teaching drama at the high school again, and had even started dating a nice accountant who was allergic to crime. "I check all my boyfriends with the FBI now," she'd told me over coffee. "Madison runs their names through the system. It's our mother-daughter bonding activity." Speaking of Madison, she'd become the youngest field instructor in FBI history, creating a new program for youth intelligence gathering in domestic violence situations. Her live stream of the trial had led to dozens of tips about similar situations nationwide. She specialized in cases involving animals used as leverage or threats, unofficially calling her department the Brutus Brigade. Turns out, she'd explained during her last visit, criminals often threaten pets to control victims. It's a pattern we'd overlooked. She'd brought Brutus a new toy, a stuffed FBI badge that he immediately tried to bury in my garden. Some dogs never change, and that was perfectly fine with me. I'd reopened my law practice, but with a twist. Brooks and Brutus Legal Aid specialized in defending homeowners against HOA overreach, with a particular focus on pet disputes. Our slogan, "We Sue Karens, the Bad Ones," had been Madison's idea and was printed on t-shirts that sold out monthly. Brutus served as our chief comfort officer, though his main duty seemed to be napping in the waiting room and occasionally allowing nervous clients to pet him. We'd handled 43 cases in 3 months, winning all but one, and that loss was because the client actually had been running an illegal ferret breeding operation in his garage. The annual Brutus Day Festival was Emma's brainchild, and the first one drew people from 3 counties. There were dog costume contests, a 3-legged race, naturally, and a PowerPoint competition where people presented absurd arguments about mundane things. Donna won with Why Pencils Are Planning World Domination, a 73-slide investigation. Even Luna competed with The Dangers of Excessive HOA Power, illustrated through interpretive dance and pie charts. The whole event raised $30,000 for local animal shelters and victims' advocacy groups. The festival had grown beyond anyone's imagination. Food trucks offering Brutus burgers and three-legged tacos, a dunking booth where people could dunk HOA board members for charity, and a PowerPoint karaoke contest where people performed Donna's most ridiculous slides. Local bands played while kids got face-painted as three-legged dogs. The newspaper estimated 5,000 people attended, all celebrating because one disabled dog had accidentally saved a neighborhood by taking a really good nap. Brutus himself spent most of the festival asleep under the judge's table, occasionally waking up to accept treats from his many admirers. Raymond Fitzgerald had been sentenced to 45 years in federal prison, his criminal empire completely dismantled. He still sent threatening letters from prison, but they were so poorly written that we'd started a bulletin board of the best ones. My favorite was the one where he'd misspelled vengeance 3 different ways in the same paragraph. His network of corrupt officials had fallen like dominoes. Judges, cops, FBI agents, even a state senator. The microchip in Brutus's leg had contained enough evidence to rewrite the crime map of Texas. Jimmy Torino was posthumously awarded the FBI Star for exceptional service, and his family had reached out to thank me for taking care of Brutus. He always said that dog was special, Jimmy's sister had told me. Now we know why. One evening, while sitting on my porch watching the sunset, I found myself reflecting on how a three-legged dog had changed so many lives. Nathan Brooks, the burned-out FBI agent turned lawyer turned farmer, had found his purpose again. Donna had transformed from victim to survivor to advocate. Madison had turned childhood trauma into a career helping others. Luna had discovered her leadership skills, Emma her courage, and even Judge Coleman had been promoted to federal court partially due to her handling of our case. All because one dog had carried a microchip in his prosthetic leg and refused to let evil win. "You know something, buddy?" I said to Brutus, who was attempting to catch fireflies despite the obvious disadvantage of missing a leg. 6 months ago, I just wanted peace and quiet. Then you showed up with your 3 legs and your secret microchip and turned my life upside down." He paused in his firefly hunt to look at me, tail wagging that distinctive 3-legged dog wiggle. But I wouldn't change a thing, except maybe the PowerPoints. We could have done with fewer PowerPoints. He barked once, then went back to his impossible firefly chase, stumbling and getting up and trying again. A car pulled up to the house, a rental with Arizona plates. The woman who got out looked exhausted, clutching a folder thick with documents. "Mr. Brooks, I'm from Sundale HOA in Phoenix. We have a situation with our president. She's banning anything that makes noise, including children." I looked at Brutus, who had given up on fireflies and was now eyeing the visitor with interest. "What do you think, partner? One more case?" He walked over to the woman, wooden leg clicking on the driveway, and gently leaned against her legs. She immediately relaxed, reaching down to pet him. "Is this the famous Brutus, the one who took down a crime syndicate?" "The very same," I confirmed, though technically he slept through most of it. She laughed, the tension leaving her shoulders. "Our HOA president says dogs disturb the peace. She's never met a peaceful dog like this." I stood up, dusting off my jeans. "Ma'am, you've come to the right place. Brooks and Brutus Legal Aid specializes in exactly this kind of case. Come on in, let's talk about how we're going to restore sanity to Sundale." As I led her inside, Brutus following with his distinctive click-clack gait, my old FBI phone, the one that had been silent for 5 years, suddenly rang. I looked at the caller ID and my blood ran cold. It was a number I'd hoped never to see again. "Hello, Marcus," the voice said, using my old alias. "Remember Chicago? Remember what you cost me?" Ha ha! I gripped the phone tighter, Brutus sensing my tension and growling low. "That's not possible. You're in maximum security." "Was," the voice corrected. "But that's a story for another time. Just wanted you to know I'm out, and I know about your dog. Jimmy's dog, my brother's dog." The line went dead. Brutus was standing at full attention now, staring out the window at the tree line. There, barely visible in the fading light, was a red laser dot dancing on the wall near his head, and then it was gone. I looked at my new client, who was obviously confused by the sudden tension. "I'm sorry, where were we?" "Ah yes, your HOA problem. Let's solve that first." But my hand was already reaching for my emergency bag, the one I'd hoped never to need again, because sometimes the past doesn't stay buried, no matter how many vegetables you grow or chickens you raise. Sometimes it comes back with a laser sight and a voice you'd tried to forget. Brutus pressed against my leg, solid and reassuring. Whatever came next, we'd face it together. After all, he'd already saved the neighborhood once. What was one more impossible challenge for a 3-legged hero? The screen fades to black with white text appearing. Brutus will return in the last bark. Because every good story deserves a sequel, especially when it involves a dog who can sleep through anything but somehow saves everyone. And somewhere in Phoenix, an HOA president was about to learn why you never, ever mess with people's pets. Especially when those pets have lawyers.
That escalated quickly. Classic BD stories. Like, share, and click the next video if you're brave enough.